I would like to call the Richmond Parks and Recreation Board to order. First up, we need to amend the agenda to include new business item A.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to include new business item A, the approval of contract 87/2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second for the amending the agenda to include new business item A, which is the approval of contract 87-2024. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now I'll read the mission statement. The Richmond Parks and Recreation Department provides for the positive development and well-being of the Richmond community through the provision of parks, greenways, trails, and recreational programming and facilities while working in cooperation with other service providers and partners in the community to maximize all available resources. With that, let's move on to welcome and a special guest.
Yes, so I just wanted to introduce our special guest tonight. We have been working with Earlham and these two wonderful students here, Cal Webster and Luke Peters. They are with the Earlham Sustainability Department, and they have been led by Scott Hess. Scott, we appreciate you and all of your help this semester. We always love the privilege of being able to be welcomed into any classroom at Earlham, and it is very much a privilege and honor to be able to work with any Earlham students, and so this was no different. This project was an amazing project. We wanted to present it to the board. They were able to give their capstone presentation just the other day to several students. Appreciate Dakota coming by and listening as well. But yeah, several students, several faculty members were involved in that presentation. So we did ask them to come and give the board a special presentation just to kind of highlight some of the project itself. So without further ado, I would love to turn it over to you.
Yeah, I just want to also say thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to talk about our semester-long senior project. It was a lot of fun and a lot of great effort on all ends, both Luke and I and the Parks Department Floral Division. And Luke is going to describe a little bit about what a senior community applied project is.
Yeah, so now this is different for all majors at Earlham, but specifically with regards to the environmental sustainability major, the community applied project is kind of a project where Earlham students are encouraged to reach out to other groups, organizations, government bodies to kind of see what projects they can kind of be able to contribute to and kind of be able to apply a lot of their knowledge that they have gained throughout Earlham, as well as kind of learning new knowledge to kind of be able to carry with them into the future.
And yeah, just introducing ourselves, a little bit of what we've done. Again, my name is Cal Webster. I use they, he pronouns. I'm a part of the Natural Resource Conservation track for our NC major. I've TA'd 4 times. I've been the native plant caretaker in the greenhouse for the past 2 years. I have multiple awards, and I've been on the Lavender Graduation Planning Committee since sophomore year.
And my name is Luke Peters. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm also part of the Natural Resource Conservation track. And a lot of my experience has come through my internships, specifically with a past internship that I had done with Hayes Arboretum to create an interactive online map that to this day has gained over 40,000 views. That contribution gave me the honorary award of being a friend of the Hayes Arboretum. So when it came to kind of choosing what project we wanted to apply our community applied project for, we reached out to several different organizations, and the general consensus was, with the initial proposals, was a lot of it was specifically related to the solar eclipse that had happened in April. But our hope was to kind of be able to work with something a lot more on the field rather than mostly using technology, as well as having something that was a lot more of a lasting impact. And we chose to work with the Richmond Parks Department as they would have the best resources to help us do that. In fact, the pollinator garden wasn't even something we had considered until we had talks with Denise and Laura, and the topic of native pollinators had been brought up, and that's what ultimately led to the inspiration for the project. These were the main stakeholders we had worked with, particularly Denise and Laura had helped kind of oversee most of the project and kind of were the ones we were in primary communications with. But everyone else had made major contributions either on the field or being able to provide us the information we needed.
And so, yeah, our primary work sites include the Springwood Park, where we would eventually implement our native pollinator garden, and NOMO area. The NOMO area is, as the name implies, a patch of grass that is not mowed but upkept in other ways, and we can talk about that later on in the presentation. This NOMO area surrounds the native pollinator garden and has a mowed grass trail leading through it and up to the pollinator garden. So it's really immersive and to the viewer. The native pollinator garden also has this concrete circle which added a good boundary and ended up being 33 by 35 feet within the circle. There were already pollinator boxes established on either side of the NOMO, so it was already something that created a good space for what we were trying to do. And then our main meeting spot was the greenhouse. We'd go there weekly to either do various tasks for the floral division and also getting familiar with the native plants they were growing. And so our first stage was research. We had to ask ourselves some questions, including sort of the stages that we would be doing for the rest of the project. So interpretive signage research was for the format and aesthetics of the signs, and conservation psychology research was for how we wanted to convey our signage content. We also looked at research surrounding garden design and architecture for how we wanted to approach the layout of our native pollinator garden itself. And then finally, we looked at research pertaining to NOMO zones to really fill in the space for our NOMO signage.
And with that signage in mind, that kind of led to initial talks about what would actually go on the signs. Given that these are kind of really complicated topics with a lot of different specific aspects into what research we found, we ultimately found that based on our research of kind of how to effectively design signs, that we would want to focus our information into kind of 3 main topics for each sign. For the NOMO sign, we ultimately chose to focus on the aesthetics of lawns, climate importance, and succession and restoration. And for pollinator gardens, we focused on the role of pollinators, the native plants, as well as restoration for the area.
Yeah, and this leads into our final signs. We had a lot of versions, but we decided just to highlight and showcase our finalized one. You can see we have a blurb at the top, sort of explaining an overview, and then our breakdown sections of why native plants are important, and the importance of restoration, as well as why pollinators themselves are important to our ecosystems. We decided on a graphic design that matched the Parks Department logo, and we also have an arrow pointing to the attached native plant list we would include with the signs, and this would have native plants that are both within the garden as well as outside of the garden. So this is allowing the viewer to familiarize themselves with the native plants and also invites them to learn further and even implement restoration at home as well.
Similarly, the NOMO area signage was largely focused on kind of communicating the benefits of what a NOMO area is, as well as a lot more general information, especially since the public doesn't really know too much about what a NOMO area is. We had heard from Denise that there have been initial efforts to try and create a NOMO area earlier, but there was kind of a lot of confusion and kind of complaint calls about kind of why is this area messy, or kind of like what is this? Does the park department not have enough funding to be able to take care of this? So this signage is kind of largely to address kind of what the fundamentals are of a NOMO area, and to kind of be able to communicate what the benefits of being able to have these areas for native plants is.
And then our next stage was the garden design itself. So we took inventory of the native plants in the greenhouse, and from there I created a spreadsheet that had all the requirements that have to be considered when implementing garden design. This includes considering the height of the plant, the maximum height of the plant, specifically, as well as sun and soil requirements, spacing for each plant, flower color if they have flowers, as well as bloom time. So we wanted to offer a range of bloom times and flower colors, as this is not only aesthetically pleasing to the viewer, it's also beneficial for pollinators, as it's providing this like multi-seasonal ecosystem service to these pollinators. And I think I went through 4 garden designs, but this is the finalized version. We were on a 1 to 10 scale graph paper, so spacing would be accurate. And there's, I think, 14 different species. The garden has bilateral symmetry, so if you cut it in half, it's symmetrical on both sides. And we also considered a tiered design with the tallest plants in the middle, and it sort of tiers out, so the smallest plants are on the outside. This allows the viewers to view all plant species from any side of the circle, so it's really important for them to see that. And we also included a seating area for big blue stem. And then that leads to our actual implementation. We first had the floral division prep the ground by spraying herbicide, and then we helped lay down compost, which was also mounded towards the middle, so it further elevated that tiered design we were going for. And I also want to implore you all to look at the concrete circle itself, as we, Luke, me, Brandon, Laura, and Kian spent a lot of time cleaning that up and making it look more presentable.
Yeah, so kind of after we had done the initial work of laying down the compost, we spent more days trying to work on tilling the soil and collecting weeds and picking up whatever trash came to the surface after a rainfall. If you don't mind going back.
Sorry.
If you can see now, we did do a lot of digging to particularly clear out the concrete circle and have a clear boundary for the native plant garden. And in particular, if you look at the lighter color of the sidewalk, you can kind of see where the grass had originally grown over the circle. So we decided to dig that up to have a much clearer boundary.
And then, yeah, we wanted to show sort of what the planting process looked like. If you look closely, you can see we placed pots down at first before planting, so we could ensure spacing and symmetry was correct. And then we ended up planting them. Like Luke mentioned, the picture on the right shows all the trash we collected, and if you look a little closely, you can see a whole ball of yarn was found. And so it was a good process.
Yeah, so because of kind of the extensive planning, we had actually managed to finish way ahead of schedule, and we managed to do it all in one day. For reference, a day is about 90 minutes for us, from getting to the place to actually packing everything up. And because we managed to finish it all in one day, we managed to save an additional week of work to be able to help kind of maintain the garden by doing weeding and kind of being able to till the soil to make sure that stuff wasn't growing in there after the new plants have been planted, since they've yet to kind of be able to develop to actually compete with the invasives that would normally dominate the area.
And then some close-ups. This is in the native pollinator garden. On the left is cinquefoil, and on the right is white indigo. And then we have some close-ups of the no-mow area. On the left is some type of grass, either tall fescue or Kentucky bluegrass. They're infamously hard to ID. And then on the right we have dandelions and purple violets. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the signage. We don't exactly have pictures of them yet because we have yet to finalize the design and send them over to Primex, which is the local company that we will be partnering with. And they were able to print out signs made out of recycled plastic material to further promote sustainability in our project. The signs will be 48 inches by 36 inches, so quite large for a sign, but this is actually pretty beneficial as our main target audiences are smaller kids and older aged individuals. So that way we will be able to increase font signage and improve clarity of the content. We'll have 2 pollinator signs at either entrance of the native pollinator garden and 2 no-mow area signs along the perimeter between the no-mow and mowed grass. So they will be visible and people will be more invited to see the signs.
Yeah, so kind of looking back on the project, a lot of the main success that we had was because of the extensive planning led to a really streamlined implementation. Cal in particular has a lot of experience with installing native pollinator gardens, and this was a lot faster compared to previous work because in the past a lot of it was kind of based on feelings and kind of where things would look nice, but rather by having a concrete design and kind of knowing where things were supposed to go already, it just allowed us to easily kind of arrange everything and then kind of just install it, which gave us enough time to actually be able to then subsequently maintain the garden. Additionally, most of our research was kind of the majority of the semester. I think I would say probably like the first 7 to 8 weeks or so was just pure research to kind of understand what we were looking at. So a lot of it kind of got tossed aside because we needed to tailor the signage and kind of other information that we had to be able to help inform the public who doesn't really know as much as we do. And we had a lot of communication with Denise and Laura about kind of the signage design process to kind of constantly make sure that we were designing a sign that everyone would be happy with and kind of one that seemed like it matched what the goals of the Parks Department was. And in particular, Laura, Brandon, Kian, and Jeremy were great to work with on the field. There was a lot of practical knowledge tossed around and kind of being able to help come up with new innovative designs for signage as well as garden design. And everyone was very passionate, and the work environment was very fast-paced, but a lot of fun, and it was still very relaxed. Denise and Thomas helped us with being able to provide us information about kind of experience and history with the local community, as well as providing us the connections we would need to get the resources we used for the project.
And then for our individual reflections, I wanted to just say, like, I learned a lot of great things about collaborating with stakeholders as well as like on a peer-to-peer basis. It was really fulfilling, and it further solidified this idea that I really like dependent work versus independent work, especially out in the field. A lot of that with Kian, Jeremy, and Laura was so fun for me. And also educating people about environmental subjects through signage and design was really fun.
For me, a lot of the revelation came through kind of understanding that there's a lot of logistics that go into being able to work on projects like this. A lot of the work that the public sees is kind of the on the surface, kind of the plants that we put, like the signs that we display, and kind of the events that we hold. But there's a lot of work that goes into the behind the scenes of it all. The extensive amount of research that we had done, the a large amount of revisions and kind of design changes that happened, and kind of the very frequent collaboration between kind of the practical knowledge as well as the educational knowledge. It all kind of led me to kind of have a bit of a realization that we need a lot of people who are able to work behind the scenes and kind of understand what needs to go into these projects. And for me, I sense a future career in that area.
For our final stage, we wanted to talk a little bit about future directions and recommendations for the parks. So specifically pertaining to the future of our project, we recommend the Parks Department's Floral Division has continual maintenance and upkeep of both the garden and no-mow zone. Specifically for the native plants, we're hoping to see a lot of weeding as we see the native plants fully develop. They need a lot of care. Native plants are pretty hardy, but in that first year, they're really susceptible to being overtaken by invasives. And going into that, if native plants die, which is expected, we hope that the greenhouse is able to restore where the native plants previously were, so we can just really keep that space filled and aesthetically pleasing to viewers as well. We also hope to see bushwhacking seasonally, as well as maybe even seeding the no-mow area with native plants to restore the native seed bank of that area.
As for being able to kind of apply the information from this project and kind of potentially consider implementing it to other sites, the big things we would advise is kind of first being able to identify the locations for these gardens and no-mow areas. Not all areas are going to be as viable for a pollinator garden or a no-mow area as others. So a lot of consideration for like soil content as well as kind of the terrain you're working with. We would also recommend to focus on communicating with the public. One of the biggest things that we came across was kind of being able to focus on having a clear and concise message on kind of like the key topics and the main benefits that we want to drive home with kind of why do we need a native pollinator garden, why are we making no-mow zones, and kind of being able to communicate that through a lot of different mediums. I mean, there's the potential for social media, the signage as we have made. Heck, even presentations like these are good ways to actually be able to explain what these concepts are and kind of be able to get the message out there to the public that this is kind of what we're going for. And finally, being able to continually educate people about what these projects are and kind of be able to provide that information, as well as involving the greater Richmond community, is one of the most important things that we would want to have take away from this.
And just again, thank you all so much for inviting us here and listening to us. I really appreciate it, and it was, again, so much fun to work with y'all.
Are there any questions that you would like to ask?
Thank you. Because I had one. So why Springwood? Why that particular location?
This was actually a recommendation to us by, I believe, Laura and Denise. I think part of that was they had maybe been planning on a no-mow area in there for a little bit and just needed that like further step to actually implement. And I'm sure you can even talk more on that.
Springwood, it takes us quite a bit of time to mow that park. It's a pretty large park, and there's a quite a bit of property behind the pavilion. There isn't there's a ton of property in front of it that people utilize, and to the side of it that people utilize. But the back, we're mowing it, and it's not necessarily being utilized. So we had talked through the process of what would that look like to maybe let it grow up a little bit, maybe make it a trail of some sort that would give us some relief a little bit on the time it takes to mow Springwood. Maybe also make it a fun option for kids. It's going to take a little while. And it's going to be a little bit of a growing pain at first when it starts to grow up a little bit. People do think that we don't take care of our areas, That's why it has to be educated. That's why we have to have signage. That's why people have to know what we're doing and why. The goal is there just to create a different space and to be a better use of our resources in our land. But really, Springwood is a very diverse ecological park, and it's one of the most that we have. There's so many really cool opportunities that it has, and so I think that with the trails that have started to be reopened there, and with the opportunities that are there in the back of Springwood, I think it made sense to utilize that area. This circle had originally been used for pony rides back in the day, long time ago. It had, I think, Laura had a few ideas for it several years in a row, and I think it's just kind of sat there as this blank canvas of what can we do with it. And then these two great students were like, what about a pollinator garden somewhere? And then Laura had stated this would be a great spot, and then maybe we could make the trail of NOMO into that area and it all can fit together. So Laura, do you have anything to add on that?
No, I think you covered it really well. I mean, we've been wanting to utilize that in some way for a while. And then also it was Jeremy's idea to have it's a really nice winding trail that goes through the NOMO area. And I think that could all just fit together really nicely. And we have Cal said, the pollinator boxes on either end at the beginning, and then it can also connect back to the trails in the back of the park. So I think just better utilizing the space.
And when we talk about pollinator boxes, people might not know what they are, but they're wooden areas that have different types of wood all through them. They're wooden boxes, and if you've seen those around, you may not know what they are, but they've been designed for that purpose. And so look for those when you're out and about in the parks. You might see them. Do you want to add something, Cal?
Yeah, just to your point of it's one, better utilize the space. JUCO goes there a lot after their programming, and so that's sort of going back to why our target audience is smaller kids and older aged individuals. A lot of people walk there, and kids are there as well. And when talking to Jim Dykes and Christian Rogan, the maintenance crew, they said they would be able to save 3 to 4 hours of mowing when implementing that no-mow area, and that would be better utilized in other places.
So are there other locations then throughout our parks that we can do this as well?
So we do a lot of it at Glen Miller Golf Course at times, and so we've tried to implement certain areas. We get a lot of phone calls. Get a lot of phone calls about
That's why I asked.
implementation.
Yeah.
And yes, we do have areas that, sometimes are just very wet all the time. That's why they don't get mowed until they dry out. Or we'll slide and then it becomes this muddy mess and they will tear up our mowers, or they're unsafe for our mowers to go down. So if something's not mowed, it's usually purposeful, or, and I'll talk about this when it's my turn. But yes, if something's not being mowed, it's usually a reason for it. And so while it's just an educational component sometimes to the public, we now have these signs, and that was kind of one of our cool opportunities here is how do we educate and how do we do it properly to the community where when they see the sign, they're like, oh, that's what that is. You know what I mean? Or here's a pollinator garden, here's a no-mow area, and people can now start spotting this, and if they don't know what it is, they're okay to go up and read it and then understand it for themselves. And we can start putting this language out. And with their research and their extensive research about the right way to highlight some of these things, it's very helpful for us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for all of
Other
your work.
questions or comments?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott, did you have anything you wanted to add at all? We appreciate your help
I'm just
too.
grateful to be able to work with the Parks and Recreation Department. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We're thankful
Thank
for
you
the
guys.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you all
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Cal.
All right. With that, we'll move on next on the agenda for the approval of minutes from April 23rd. Is there any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second for the approval of the April 23rd minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to administration report. Denise.
Yes, so I just wanted to just kind of update a few things. And talking through what we just talked about the mowing, we do have a park mowing schedule. I'm happy to send that your way if you ever have any concerns or questions that come to you. You can always call us or call the front desk. The front desk has this as well. But Mondays, we mow certain things. Tuesdays, we mow certain things. Wednesdays, and so on, right? So if we don't have a schedule and keep everyone on a schedule, then, you know, it would be chaotic. So obviously, everyone knows what they're supposed to mow and when. If it rains, then obviously we can get behind. That's obviously something that happens on a general basis. If a mower goes down, or two mowers go down, then there's also opportunity to get behind on mowing. But we do what we can. At this point, we have been interviewing seasonals on a regular basis, trying to get more seasonals in to help with mowing and getting more mowers and bodies on mowers. But we have to have the mowers to be able to put people on them. And so that's also one thing that we're working on as well, is inventorying all of our mowers. What will it take if there's been mowers down for a year or more? What will it take to put those mowers back into action? So I've been working with the mechanic on that. And mainly because going into this 2025 budget season, we are supposed to have a 3-year capital plan, which we have, but I want it to be better than it's ever been before. I want to make sure this capital plan identifies every single asset that we have and its replacement need in the next 3 years. And so whether or not that's going to work with what I get in my budget and what we get in our budget, I don't know that for certain, but that's what we've been working on. And so, as you know, it is budget time, and we've been already starting to work very hard on that. And we've been also working on a park facility condition assessment. So our techs will be going around to every facility that we have and assessing the condition of each facility. So we have all of that as well. So a mower assessment, a facility assessment, and then equipment assessment, just to review all of that and then talk through some of the capitals that we've had on our list for prior years, why we haven't received those yet. We didn't get to put any capitals on our budget for last year, so we just need to review the capitals on our list and see exactly what we need going forward. So we've been working on all of that, and just wanted you to know all that. I can pass those around so you can see those. And a few other things I have, but I can answer any questions about that right now. About mowing schedule, mowers, budget. Okay,
Do you have
so
enough mowers?
no, we'll never have enough mowers. I mean,
Sorry, I asked.
no, I would like for us to get to a point where if a mower goes down, we don't have anyone stationary. They don't have to go just grab a weed eater and move on. Like, I want them to get on another mower and be able to take care of their areas without being behind. Our team members that are mowing, they don't want to be behind. They have a schedule that they've got to finish by the end of the week. And if they are behind, it makes them anxious. It makes them feel like they can't do it well. They don't want to be behind. So, you know, we want to make sure they have everything they need to do their job well and to not be concerned that they don't have what they need. So I would like to have extra mowers just in case. So some of these mowers that we haven't fixed for years, I need to know why I need to know how much it's gonna cost to get them back up. Is it worth getting them back up? Or is it better just to buy a new mower, trade those in? So there's some things we're looking at this point. I also wanted to let you know that Richmond Rising is now updated with all of our plans on it, which is exciting. So it has our comprehensive master plan on it for the Parks Department. It has our gorge plan on it. It also has our farmers market plan on it. So when you go to richmondrising.com, you see all of our plans. And I think this is a great tool for our community just to go and access it in one place. So this is new. And those are the updates that I have for you, because I think those are important updates.
I think it'd be good for us to have the mowing schedules so that when we do get contacted or by folks, we can just say, like, hey, there's a process, there's a schedule that's being done.
Yeah, and you know, I've had concerned citizens that, like for example, they say, well, this area hasn't been mowed in 2 weeks. Well, yes it has. You know, like I think people sometimes, just because grass is a little tall, it's growing so quickly right now with the rain and, the weather, it's great. I mean, the golf course is doing the same thing. So, it's gonna take a little bit with the weather and the way it's happened. This is the conversation I have every year around this time. I mean, we could probably go back to the park board in May and we've had this conversation. I have this conversation all the time, but around this time, because it is a hard position to be in with not having our seasonals starting yet. The high schools aren't done, colleges aren't back, and they're not onboarded yet. So those are a lot of our seasonals that are on board that help out during the summer. So it is a tough spot from April to May and into the end of May, but we'll get through it. And we'll get there and we'll get caught up and everything will look good. But we have this period of time where everything's growing quicker than we can get it mowed.
Any other questions or comments for Denise for her report? Okay, thank you. Moving on to division reports, financials. Do you have any?
Any questions on the financials?
Looks like the golf course is doing really well.
They are packed. I was out there this morning, we had women's league, but I mean, they are just flooding. They were able to get everything sprayed last Friday, which was great. We also have Glenn Miller all sprayed, all aerated, and so that was great because the greens have looked really bad at Glenn Miller. So we're trying to get that up and going and making sure that looks better. So yeah, just gonna take a little time.
Becky, you're here. Is anything you want to highlight for the?
We made it through. I'll just do that real quick before I go. We made it through April, which was extraordinary because we started with the eclipse on Monday, followed by Medical Monday, which was a great opportunity for us that we came and interviewed and let Ty and I speak about our outreach programs. And then right after that, we had Brandon, who captivated everybody almost 45 minutes longer than we intended him to be. He was great, and everybody loved that.
So Brandon came and did a bird. Yeah. Brandon, our trail service leader, yes. He came and did a bird
and hiking.
Yeah, program at the center, and everybody was mesmerized.
He marketed the park in the most incredible way ever. It was fabulous, and that was part of our speaker series. And then we just moved right along into Earth Day after that, and that was huge. We had about 200 people through the center, which was really wonderful. And we all survived it. It was great. We got a lot of new memberships off of it. People are still talking about various parts of it, which is great. So we have this great program with the Master Gardeners from Purdue, and it is growing in outreach. It's actually moving beyond us. Other people are now coming and saying, you do this at the senior center. So we want to know, can you help us do this at this facility? So it's kind of cool that people come to us to do that. I did bring you some of our updated things that are getting ready to happen. We also have kind of a wellness coach thing, and we talked last week about I call it detoxing. It's called cleansing. I don't know why detox, but there it is. Called cleansing, and the entire group, there were like 38 people there, they all said, let's do that together. Well, what it meant was you could take something on for 7 days. There's like between May 15th and May 31st, the whole group at once chooses 7 consecutive days and either take something on, whether it's doing something for someone else, doing self-care for so much, things that are important, or they let something go and say, yeah, I'm not gonna drink sodas for 7 days. Or you go through a room of stuff you haven't cleaned. But everybody committed and they wanted to do it as a group. So we said, let's do it as a group, and we're creating an art project out of it. So you'll see an art project that will come from doing something together that moves us forward and cleans us out. So.
And Donna's done a great silent auction, and she's done a great flower sale where all those flowers will be delivered today and tomorrow.
And or today, because they're in my car, sorry.
Okay. Love it.
Yes.
And so she's done a great job getting all of that together for Widow Person Services and Bereavement Blessings. So that's really great.
And she's even going out still and doing the barbecue, what is it, down in the
Firehouse.
depot, Firehouse Barbecue. She still goes there with the new program that she's a part of. So it's really been, we're
been
really
doing a lot of
growing.
outreach.
She's growing. The whole place is just,
Happening.
it is. We are
You should
the
go and
place.
check it out.
We went
That's
to a
exciting.
health fair today and someone said we were the most attended at the health fair. So I didn't even have my tomatoes and we still had people. So it was great. So do you have any questions or anything? I'd like to tell you we're resting, but we're not. We're taking that croquet next month. We've got somebody to help do that. And we've got somebody who's gonna take us out. We are gonna do disc golf. It is happening. So just our little 3 disc golf things there, but still, for us, it's happening. So
Awesome.
we're not slowing down, so thank you. I'm gonna leave these here.
You're back.
Here you go.
I'll take those.
Yeah, and I'll leave your stuff up front.
Thank you.
Thank you for the pretty bag.
This is the other thing, we made these. Everybody took an old t-shirt, cut it out, made it into a bag. It was the most popular thing ever there, so now everybody's carrying these bags around, except me who dropped some, and now I have to use it, so.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Becky. Just another thing I wanted to fill you in on, if we'll just jump back up to B. We did have the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission out about the gaming license at Highland, kind of a standstill on that, just wanted to let you know. They have felt as though if that is something that we wanted to continue to pursue, then everything would need to go into the banquet room, including the gaming and the bar area, and then it would have to be in a complete separate area and not be seen to anyone under the age of, I think, 18. So we're researching that just a bit more, but I did talk to the commissioner a little bit about it. We've had a couple conversations, and we definitely respect that. We're not gonna fight that or anything along those lines. If that's what they suggest, and then we'll just, as we are growing out there, we might think about that going forward. Okay. So I wanted to kind of give you that heads up that we're getting that information collected. And then farmers market, we had our first outdoor market. I don't know if you were able to attend, but it was great. A lot of value-added vendors said they did fabulous last weekend, so Hannah was very excited about that. We're really making each market a destination type event, so that's really great. We also had our second food truck Wednesday just yesterday, and so those have been going really well. We have about 4 food trucks each week, and I can see that kind of growing as we get more into the summer. So that's been working out really well. We also started our walking club each Thursday. So that started last week. We had 60 people out on our first walking club, and so people can walk at their own pace. They can come out and walk as much or as little as they'd like, but people are out there and it's a fun atmosphere and it's exciting, and so people are loving it. So lots of great stuff happening there. Gearing up for JUCO. JUCO, all the staff is filled, and so that's exciting. And additionally, we're having really good luck with lifeguards. So I hate to say that out loud. Did I say that out loud?
First time ever.
So really thankful for our partnership with Richmond Community Schools, who is allowing us to utilize the Tiana Pool for getting other lifeguards through there in a certification process. But currently, management is full, and our lifeguards are getting certified or recertified, and then lots of returners. So feeling really good about the pool. It's filled, it's filtering, so if you haven't been by there, we are on our way. So we're kind of ahead of schedule on that, so we'll just keep moving, okay, on that. Additionally, we bid out, I think you remember last meeting, we bid out the outfield fence at Diamond One. And we rejected that bid. It came in too high. We have since had 2 companies out. Those bids are way over what we can afford. We have another company coming out on Monday. So, that being said, my goal is to make Diamond One the best diamond it can be somehow, some way. So, I'm still working on that. Industrial Week started last Monday, this Monday. It was great. Everybody had a wonderful time at the Industrial League. We have 12 teams. It's really great. People are loving it. They're not complaining about the fence, they just want it to be better. We've got brand new benches out there that were built by Nate Davis, so we're really thankful for that. We're now painting everything. They're getting everything painted, all the dugouts. We wanted them all new, all ready to be kind of just a nice new coat of paint. So that's almost completed, but we'll work on that fence. Where there's a will, there's a way. So we'll get it. But it'll just take a little bit more time, I think. So that's Diamond One.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Where's Diamond One?
It's our only diamond that we have. That's so weird to say. But it is the only diamond that we have, and it is south of Maine. It's right there in Clear Creek, across from the pickleball courts. Absolutely. We also are installing 1 more camera at the pool. So this will be our 5th camera. And we're pretty excited about that. It will actually show everything at the concession area and everything at the diving well. And so that was kind of our only spot we didn't have an eye on. And so that should be installed in the next week. So
And we have cameras at Middle Fork, right?
we do have 3
Oh.
cameras at Middle Fork.
Somebody asked me that.
Yes, yes. We'd like to get another camera in the parking lot, but we don't have Wi-Fi. So, makes that hard.
If nothing else, we'll move on to any board concerns or comments. Okay. Any delegation correspondence?
I just wanted to, just in my mind, just say thank you to Laura and the floral team. They worked really hard with the Earlham capstone project, as well as they've been just really getting at it with the depot pots. I don't know if you saw those. I mean, that's kind of an extra thing that we normally don't do, but they look beautiful down there at the depot, so we're just thankful for that. They've been working really extra hard on some of the landscaping. So just want to say thank you. And they, on top of that, work with these projects and things, so we appreciate that.
Can I? So, just a real quick update, we are gonna deliver the rest of the pots downtown next week. And, wanted to let you know that we are going to have a Climate McKinney Fellow with us this summer as part of the Environmental Resilience Institute, the IU cohort. So her name is Rania, and she will be here May 20th through August 10th, and she's going to be working on so we were, as part of this grant, given a tree canopy assessment from Davy Resource Group and all kinds of different layers. So Davy has been working on that. They're going to hand over that information to us and Rania, and we're going to be doing a lot of community engagement and trying to highlight these planting areas, because they are giving us 100 trees installed and maintained for 3 years. This we haven't identified the locations yet. It will be part of the disadvantaged census tracts. That's part of this grant, but we haven't gotten any farther than that. But it could be in parks, it could be in the right-of-ways, but there's a collaboration with Allison Zidell and Thomas and Dustin, so we're all working together, and it'll be a really exciting project for the parks and city trees throughout the summer.
So she'll be here on
Very
Thank you.
Laura.
We have no old business, so new business is the approval of contract 87-2024 for the Glenn Miller Clubhouse Apartment Rental Agreement.
Yes, so this is kind of a housekeeping item. Every year we come around this time to tell you that we have someone who's going to be utilizing the apartment, an intern from Earlham. His name is Eamon, and so he will be helping with community recreation. This year is helping with JUCO and some of our events, and so he'll be utilizing the clubhouse. And so we just come to the park board just to get your approval that he might be able to utilize the clubhouse as a part of the kind of the payment, even though he doesn't get paid on our end. So yeah, that's one of his benefits that he will receive while working with us.
Good. Is there any question or comments regarding this? If not, I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve contract 87-2024.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second for the approval of contract 87-2024. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. If there's no other business today, then I'm going to take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.